Hi, I'm R.T. Kendall, and I want to talk to you about Elijah, my latest book called These Are the Days of Elijah. It's just out, and I have my own copy. The foreword is by my friend John Paul Jackson. I want to talk to you about the time when Elijah, running scared because of Jezebel's threat, is under a broom tree. It says here that Elijah went to a place and he was so tired and he said, "Lord, take my life. I am no better than my ancestors." That statement tells you a lot about Elijah. He was an ambitious man. He thought that he would do one better than his ancestors, his forefathers. I think we're all like that. We want to make our mark. At least I'm like that. I've been given a double dose of ambition and wanting to preach the best sermon or write the best book. And then I find out that I haven't preached the best sermon or the best book. And the truth is that Elijah, when he realized how weak he was, he says, "I'm no better than my ancestors." As if that we could improve to such an extent that we think we are more godly. Do you know what? The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. We are all sinners. And I've found that the greatest men, and I've known some of the great men of all time, I've had the privilege of knowing them, I find out that they're very human. And the truth is, at the end of the day, all of us are sinners. And Elijah was no better. I'm no better. You're no better. We're all going to fail. And God has a way of humbling us. Well, we're told that all at once an angel touched him. Some of the sweetest words to be found anywhere. All at once an angel touched him. You could say, well, why would God bother with Elijah anymore? Elijah has performed a great victory, and it's a great victory for God, and now God doesn't need him. Do you know what? God doesn't need him. He doesn't need me. He doesn't need you. But you know what? He's not finished with us. And the amazing thing is that he gives us the same attention, even though maybe we've seen our greatest victory. We've seen what God can do, and we think, well, there's nothing left now. But as far as God is concerned, you are important to him when you've got nothing more to offer. No more challenge of the prophet Baals on Mount Carmel. You're just yesterday's man, you might feel. Whether that's true, I don't know. I know this, that in the case of Elijah, God gave him special attention and revealed to him his glory, his power in a way that it's amazing that God would still do this with Elijah. But that's how much he loves a single man. And you may feel that you've seen your life and it's over and there's not much left. God will stay with you right to the end and show you his power, his glory, as long as you're there. Well, what God wanted to do is to show Elijah different ways he can show up. And the Lord said, I'm going to show you something. My presence is going to pass by, and you're going to see me work. And so Elijah was ready. And so we're told that a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks. Well, surely that's the Lord. But it says the Lord was not in the wind. That's a surprise. After the wind there was an earthquake. Surely this is God. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And then came a fire. Well, surely that's of God. We know how God has revealed himself in fire. He does that. But the Lord was not in the fire. And then, after the fire, came a gentle whisper. The King James Version says, a still, small voice. So unspectacular, but so real. And we're told that when Elijah heard it, immediately he pulled his cloak over his face, and he knew he'd been in the direct presence of God. The point is this: God has more than one way to show up and manifest his glory. And he wants to show you something of his presence that you would not have thought of. Elijah couldn't have thought of this. He thought he'd seen everything. And I just want you to know, when you think you've seen it all and you're at the end of your strength, God has just begun. And if God can use Elijah, he can use me. And if he can use me, he can use anybody.